Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jimmy Smith. I'm the Director for the Office of Navy Small Business Programs. And I have a very special colleague of mine from the Department of the Army, Miss Kimberly Buehler, is going to be speaking to us today. She's the Director of the Office of Small Business Programs for the Army, and she's going to be speaking with us today. Kim, you there?
I'm here, Jimmy.
Outstanding. What is all that Army stuff you have? Oh, that's right. You represent the Army. You know, Army-Navy football game coming up, don't you?
Is that coming up? Yeah, seems like that's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it's
I
12
think I'm
December.
ready.
Wow, you are really loaded up with the Army paraphernalia there. I'm impressed.
That's
I
right.
definitely signed up currently for 12 December. And we look forward to having another Navy victory as always, or mostly always. Did you know that the Navy is leading the series 61-52, and there have been like 7 ties?
I do remember reading those statistics, but I am confident that the Army, who is leading the charge in really everything these days. You know, we're a very critical part of Operation Warp Speed, and are one of our really, I think, the best logistician that's out there, General Perna, helped leading up that team. So I'm confident that our victory will continue this year and be reflected in the outcome of the Army-Navy game, which will be conducted at West Point for the first time since, I believe it was 1943. So I think we are well prepared and we are good to go. And again, we're number 1.
Yes, I saw that foam finger that you had there. I'm a little concerned about it, actually, to say. Do you remember back in the 2002 to 2015 time frame where the Navy reeled off like 14 victories in a row?
I do read, yes. I have to admit, Jimmy, I'm not the biggest football fan in the world, but I do follow Army-Navy rivalry pretty closely. It's the one game a year that I really look forward to watching. And, it's like all good things must come to an end. And again, I'm fully confident in the Army's ability, as we celebrate the 25th anniversary of Tropic Lightning and honor them with the Army uniform this year, that we have nothing to worry about. So you can throw all the stats at me you want, and it's okay. We're good. The proof will be at the end of the game.
Yes, I'm sure the end of the game will be very rewarding for the Navy, as most times. Did you know that the fan favorite mascot is the famous Bill the Goat? The Navy mascot. Fan favorite.
I could see that. I mean, goats are, one of God's creatures. Goat milk actually is, a time-honored beauty ritual as well. So, goats have lots of wonderful things to offer to humanity. And, I can certainly see where you'd be proud of, having such a valued and beloved mascot.
Absolutely. And the mascot, the Heisman Trophy winners, the number of bowls that the Navy has gone to in the past. There's just so much in history that we could look back upon. But you're right, we need to forecast about the future, and we look forward to this game that's coming up. So I don't want to take away any more from your presentation that you have today, but just to let you know, between now and the Army-Navy game, we're going to find your car and we're going to decorate it in this blue and white color ensemble. So stand by for that, and just know that the Navy had something to do with it, by the way.
Well, so my car is blue. So, I've already given you a little heads up there. So, should be very easy for you.
Excellent. So. Thank you very much. And
because that's how we are in the Army. We're all about making things easier for our fellow DoD.
Yes. We just had Stan Ross said he'll donate some yellow ribbon, so
Yeah.
we're going to be set. We're all set. We're going to come visit you and take care of that here.
I'll be sure to wear my T-shirt.
Absolutely, please. Whatever you desire. If you can't find anything else, that's fine. That's perfect. Outstanding. All right. So without, oh my gosh, look how big that cup is. Army does go big.
Go big or go home.
Absolutely. I did have this other one little factoid that I think the Constitution only calls for a Navy. That the only service that's actually written up in the Constitution. It says that we shall raise funds and have an armies. It says have armies, like more than one, but it says we will raise taxes to provide for a Navy. So our founding fathers probably had something going there. So with that, I'll give you back your time for your presentation here, and I'll go dig up some more stats like famous Navy football and service members who have gone on to great things in life. I'll have some of those at the end if there's time. But over to you, Ms. Buehler. Have a great webinar.
Well, Jimmy, thank you. I mean, obviously, it's a real pleasure to work for the Department of Defense and for our respective services, because we do have such a time-honored tradition of not only rivalry, but of working together, right, to get the job done, whatever that job might be. And, it's been a real pleasure for me, especially in this position, getting to work with you and also with our colleague Scott Kaiser in the Air Force, as well as all of the other, small business directors throughout the department. I think I couldn't have identified a better group of people to work with on a daily basis. And, all joking aside, right, when we talk about what we do, winning really does matter. So, regardless of who wins, Army, the 121st, meeting of the Army Navy, winning matters for us at a much more strategic and grand level than I think gets talked about a lot. So with that, I'd like to thank you again for having me here today, and I'll begin my presentation.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Enjoy your time.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here with you this afternoon. I definitely want to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Smith's wonderful team that helped me, put together this presentation and make sure that I was prepared, to speak with you today. Could we go to the next slide, please? So I have a few new slides than what I have been using. In the Army, we take the opportunity in October to reset our strategic messaging. We have an annual meeting of the Association of the United States Army, or AUSA. And we take that meeting as an opportunity to really roll out, what the agenda and the priorities are going to be for the Army for the fiscal year. And the Army's priorities have been fairly consistent over the past few fiscal years, but we did do a slight modification of those in October. So I will be addressing that today. One of the newer slides that I have is one I created, and I really wanted to highlight the importance of the small business professional, not only within the Army, but more specifically within the acquisition framework. The role that the small business professionals play in connecting industry, and sometimes it's the large business primes that are looking for small businesses to augment their capability. But more frequently, it is with those small business vendors that are looking to do business with the Department of Defense. So that small business professional really is that cog that connects our industry partners with our acquisition partners. And a couple things that I wanted to highlight here is not only how important they are, but how important it is for our small businesses in particular to to leverage the small business professionals. We recognize that it can be very difficult to understand who you even talk to. You know, I'll speak specifically within the Army. You know, what program manager do I need to talk to, and how do I find out who that person is? And I know I have a capability that matches to the problem set that the Army's trying to solve, but how do I really find out who those people are that I talk to? Well, the small business professional can really help with that. They can help connect you to where you need to go, and you know, try to set up meetings for you. We're not always successful in doing that, of course, but we need you to help us as much as possible in order to make that effort successful. So we do need our small businesses to do their due diligence before they come talk to us. There's a lot of great resources out there for industry. The Procurement Technical Assistance Centers that are sponsored out of DLA, again, another one of our fine defense partners out there. And they can do a lot of the early engagements in trying to help businesses understand how to do business with the department. When it comes to how to do business with the Army, we really need you to understand what the Army's about, who we are, what our weapon systems platforms are, where our installations are, what type of work is out there. And you know, we really need you to come talk to us about who you are as a company. It is, of course, important that we understand what your socioeconomic category is, right? If you're a women-owned small business, if you're a veteran-owned service-disabled small business, etc. But it's really more important that we understand what your core capability is as a company, because we really want you to be able to differentiate yourself to our acquisition partners so that we can be most successful in trying to help you win contracts. So we, of course, don't actually award any of those contracts. There's a whole process set up for that. But we try to facilitate your entry into that process and try to connect you with the right people and make sure that you're aware of what resources and tools are out there as well, so that you can locate opportunities. But you need to come prepared with your set of research so that we can best maximize that engagement. For the Army, we do not have a comprehensive list of small business professionals that we share with industry, and there is a very specific reason for this. We did have one a few years back. Our website was actually hacked, and personal information on those small business professionals was out there, and it was used for less than proper purposes, I'll say. So we don't want to put our small business professionals at any risk. So what we do publish on our website are links to those offices where you can get connected with those individuals. So I just wanted to, because I do get asked quite frequently, do you have a list of all your small business professionals? So of course I do, but that's not what I'll actually share with you. I do want to highlight our website, OSBP, so Office of Small Business Programs, osbp.army.mil, and I believe Ms. White will be putting that into the chat so that you can see. And actually, it's also at the bottom left-hand side of my slide. So if you go there, you can absolutely get connected to the various commands that have small business offices, and most of them also have contracting authority. And I highly encourage folks to utilize those resources, and able to find out who you need to talk to. We do also have on our website some long-range acquisition forecasts. This is an area that we're definitely looking to improve upon. But if you're looking for some more specific detail on what contracting opportunities might be available, you can also get to that forecast through our website. So I do want to take a few minutes today because I've talked about, it's important that industry does research and understands you know, who they're talking to when you do come to talk to us. So I wanted to go through, you know, what's important to the Army now, what our priorities are, what we're looking at, and give you some tools and some tips so that you can absolutely enhance the research that you're doing for when you do get in front of those decision makers. So if we could go to the next slide. Uh-oh, that's, I must have changed my slide deck around, but that's okay. I'll just adjust. You can go to the next slide. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the Army priorities. So the Army's priorities are people, readiness, and modernization. And you can see that beneath there, there's a line that says reform. So prior to October of 2020, the Army's priorities were readiness, modernization, and reform. And people were sort of the underlying current that ran through those three lines of effort. So in October, that was realigned a little bit, and people were put first and foremost. And that really recognizes that, you know, while people are central to everything, people are our number one asset. They are our number one thing that we need to concentrate on, because you don't get to readiness or modernization without having the right people, without having the right number of people, the right skill sets. And you need to make sure that those people are taken care of, and taken care of for a lifetime. Because as we know, when we bring soldiers in, it's not just for their immediate tour of duty, but they really become our soldiers for life. Right? They become our veterans. They become people that are part of the Army family for the long haul. And it's not just that individual either. We also recognize that those people have families, right? Those soldiers have families. They have wives or husbands or partners. They have children. You know, it's a whole network. It truly is an Army family, and we have to make sure that all of those individuals are taken care of. So we have to make sure that we have good housing. We have to make sure that we have good training, that we have good schools, that we have good healthcare networks. So we have to make sure that we're taking care of those people, because again, you really can't be ready to engage across the different spectrums of operation if your people are distracted or you know, feel like they have to worry about things on the home front. So people really became the number one priority, and the Chief of Staff of the Army, you know, that he's been, he starts off everything with saying people are our number one priority. So I think that was definitely a good adjustment, and it certainly aligned with where we were going within the small business professional workforce as well. So readiness and modernization, of course, readiness means that you're ready to engage and to, regardless of the scenario. So if the scenario is that you're in competition with your near peers, that you are able to win, right? Because winning matters. So winning matters if you're in a crisis, responding to a pandemic. Winning matters if you have to engage in a conflict. And it's not a matter of if we will engage in another conflict, it's a matter of when. So being ready in all of those scenarios of competition, crisis, conflict, and even change, you know, is really critically important. Within readiness, the Army has a new model that we've rolled out called Rearm. This is the Regionally Aligned Readiness and Modernization Model, and it is a life cycle model, a unit life cycle model that replaces what we called R4Gen. So what's different with Rearm is there's a recognition that you know, we have to balance risk, and not every unit is going to have the same level of readiness as another one. So Rearm gives us a very predictable life cycle model that will enable us to balance the risk, as well as you know, deal with some, the budget, right? Because there's never enough money to go around. And, as we're going to see, we have a lot of bills to pay in, trying to support our country through the COVID-19 pandemic. So, trying to manage budget pressure, whatever that might end up being. And even thinking about, how we deploy training and how we deal with the logistics trail, right? I mean, all of these things have to be considered, and all of those things are part of the Rearm model. So if your line of business is in, supporting kind of the unit readiness, it's really important that you understand what Rearm is and how the Army will be utilizing it and what impacts it might have. In terms of modernization, modernization is something that's very important throughout the department, and all of the services are developing new technology and capabilities, and we're really utilizing every tool in the toolbox to do this, right? We are utilizing the Small Business Innovative Research Program a lot. We are utilizing other transaction authority a lot. In the Army, we've seen our spend on other transactions double year after year for the past 3 years. So these are, really great avenues for small businesses in particular, because they lower the barriers to entry, and they provide an easier way to start doing business with the department, and allows us to test capability for a lower dollar value before we commit to, full-blown development of a system. Or of different, components of a system. So it really enables us to test and to prototype and to explore, in a much more friendly way that also encourages those companies that maybe never considered doing business with the Department of Defense, or if they had considered it, the acquisition system, as you all know, is very difficult to navigate. So this gives a really good way to start getting your feet wet, so to speak. So within the Army, we actually stood up a new 4-star command to deal with modernization. So there was a recognition that this was so critical to the Army going forward and our ability to really support multi-domain operations, that we needed that, very senior leadership focus, as well as centralization of the various resources and activities that were doing modernization, but we needed to make sure that they were all working collectively together, and that the resources could really be harnessed. So we stood up the Army's Futures Command, the AFC. I highly encourage folks to visit the AFC website. It's pretty dynamic, it's pretty modern, and it's very clearly identified on there, a way to actually propose capability. So the Futures Command is looking for particularly small businesses or other non-traditionals that have innovative technology. I think there's a real recognition that it's not just good enough for the Army to have an idea and put a requirement out there and have industry propose, right? That's our traditional way of procurement, of acquisition. We don't know what we don't know, and we don't have any of the all of the great ideas out there, or know how a technology that's being developed might be deployed, right? So that's where we really need those innovative companies to come in and make suggestions to us. So if you go to the Army Futures Command website, I will bring it back around. If you go to their website, you'll be able to see the 31+4 signature systems that the Army is developing, kind of clearly laid out. And then you will be able to actually go through their front door, which is what they call it. And the front door will enable you to sign up, and you can sign up in a general manner and just get updates. or you can actually identify your specific technology, and they will set you up, they will schedule a meeting with the requirers that best fit what your capability is. But it's really important that you understand what those 31+4 signature system is, and so that you can really clearly articulate where you fit within that and what type of technology you can support. So again, highly encourage folks to do that. So, okay, I know that there's been a few questions. We can wait to the end unless there's anything specific. Jimmy, I'll just pause there for a second to see if there's any questions at this point that I can answer, or if I can move forward.
Absolutely. I have 3 questions that are waiting in queue here. I was trying to give you some time, but we'll go right to it. All right. It says, I'll read it verbatim here. Good afternoon. The Army has Marine vessels under its command. What battalion manages those ships? As a small business, who would I be reaching out to in order to present our capabilities? Over.
You know, I'm going to take that one for back to the office so that I can get you a specific answer on that. You know, I've got a couple of ideas in mind, but I want to make sure that I get you to the right place. So I will take that one for the record, and we'll follow up.
Okay, outstanding. Next question on the list is one that we see quite often here on the Navy side, and I'm sure on the Air Force's side as well, is how do you find these program managers? Who are they? I'm sorry, are they required to respond back? So I'll let you take that one, and then may chime in on how we do it as well. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, one of the constant, and I don't want to call it a complaint because that's not fair, comments, one of the, you know, common comments that we get is, you know, I think I found the right person. I've called and left voicemails, or I've emailed and no one's gotten back to me. And, you know, probably 100 of your colleagues have done the same, right? So folks don't always respond as quickly as we would like them to. And, you know, it's also possible, particularly when we have, you know, military individuals, they might have gone on to another assignment, or they might be detailed to an assignment, you know, so they might not even be the right person anymore. So, you know, very definitely, I think that's where, you know, if you have specific questions, if you come into either my office, so if you go to our website, osbp.army.mil, there's a tab at the top of the page, the top of the home page, that has a Contact Us tab. So if you click on that, and it'll say Speaker Outreach Request. If you click on that, fill out the form and tell us specifically what you're looking for, we will connect you with the right small business professional who will help, you know, get you connected. Obviously, you can, you know, you can go through some like ombudsman kind of resources that are out there as well, but I would encourage you to try to utilize your small business professionals. If you're having trouble getting small business professionals to respond to you, again, let us know, and we will make sure that someone gets back to you. I highly encourage you to go to general websites if you can, as opposed to individuals, unless you already have an established relationship with specific individuals, because that way, you know, more than one person generally manages those kind of group general email boxes. So I think you increase your ability to get somebody to call you back. For sure, if it's an open solicitation, you should absolutely, you know, try to get in contact with the contracting office. You should leverage industry days as much as possible. I know a lot of our Army activities are doing virtual industry days, particularly in the installation support area. They very quickly pivoted, and they've done an outstanding job in doing industry days, and there's other activities out there that do it more on a monthly or quarterly basis as well. So again, you might need to do a little bit of research, and your small business professionals can help you with that. But I don't think that there's any secret to getting people to call you back. I think the key is you need to work within the resources to try and make sure that the people that you're contacting are the right people. And the small business professionals are very much interested and can be your advocate with those other individuals who, again, are, probably overwhelmed with people trying to contact them. And then, honestly, I think sometimes if it's a pretty active, solicitation, folks can be hesitant to talk to you because they don't want to give out procurement sensitive information. So we always sort of struggle with that as well, making sure that that we're being responsive, but not giving any one vendor information that could be used, in a competitive manner that their fellow industry folks don't have access to. So sometimes that's trouble too. Jimmy, how does the Navy handle that?
Very much in the same vein. We provide the Office of Small Business Programs actually provides that front door to get into the Navy, and we have small business professionals all across the 10 major buying commands that are there to support your efforts in finding that right program manager. So we get you to the door. It's up to you and the program manager to meet needs and requirements and to understand what you're offering, just as you do in the Army and also in the Air Force. So it's you do find people dancing on eggshells when solicitations are out on the street, and there's only so much that can be said without jeopardizing the procurement integrity of that transaction. So there's certain times where everybody's fair game and other times where people are out of bounds when it comes to when you can interact with them. So understand the frustration, but if you use your small business professionals to gain entry to who the right people are, and then moving forward in that regard is how it's going to be most successful for you, because we have contacts in all of the local commands, and they're there to assist you in your ability to show what you can do for the armed services. So great job.
I have to say, I just have to say very quickly, I've never seen such a group of passionate and committed professionals as the small business folks. And that really goes across the department. I mean, but the folks are in small business because they want to help you, right? That is the best part of their job is, and how they define success a lot of times isn't through goals. It's through establishing relationships with industry, with seeing you be successful. So we are very invested in your success and in trying to help you. And I think that comes from passion and commitment. And if you're not experiencing that within the Army, I definitely want to know that.
Awesome. I got one more question here, and don't know if CMMC is covered in your presentation, but I do have a CMC question. How does the Army plan to implement new CMC requirements into upcoming procurement efforts? Is there a roadmap that small businesses can plan against as we go through the certification process? As a small business value-added reseller, does the Army plan to begin to implement CMC Level 1 and above requirements in the next 3 months, the next 6 months, or the next 9 months? So about a 4-part.
Sure. So I didn't have anything specific on CMMC. I am tracking that, the CMMC clauses have become effective, and you're going to see contracting officers start including them in new contract awards, task orders, option exercise, etc. There is an exception if it's COTS items; they are exempt. Everything else, you're going to start seeing those clauses incorporated. It's my understanding that there are, and I hopefully get this number correct, but the department is rolling out CMMC in phases. And I believe the first phase is 12, it's either 12 or 15 pilot programs. And I know that within the Army, the procurement folks just went out and did a survey to try to identify some programs that are going to have upcoming contracts to be part of the initial pilot. I believe that, and all this is laid out by the Defense Pricing and Contracting Office, the DPC. They actually just released a memo, I believe it was this week, where they have the full deployment schedule kind of laid out. And I think it's by 2025 is the goal to get all the contractors, fully on board. So there is a phased approach. I'm sure that we can provide a link to where that memorandum, and it has kind of frequently asked questions at the back of it. And I thought that those were very helpful in trying to make sure that the contracting workforce understands what to do with the clauses and how CMMC is being rolled out. But I think it's really important for industry and would be helpful for industry as well. Of course, there's a lot of information available through the CMMC website. And Katie Arrington, I believe she's going to be speaking at an upcoming event. I think it's next week with AFCEA. So that's an industry association. I don't have any relationship with them, and I'm certainly not advocating, because I'm sure you have to be a member in order to attend the webinar, but they are doing a webinar on CMMC with Ms. Arrington next week. The PTACs have information out there as well. If you're struggling with CMMC, they've got some resources and some training. So I do think it's very important to try to get that level 3, because that is kind of the general expected level. But I think the thing to know is you don't need it immediately, but you definitely need to be working towards it, because it could be a differentiator, right? And I think small businesses need as many differentiators as you can possibly get. So I think that it's, I think it's to everybody's benefit as a business proposition to get that certification. But it's also kind of the right thing to do for our country, right? I mean, when you really look at the loss of intellectual property and, how much of our data and our information has been stolen by our adversaries and used in their major weapon systems development, it's very sobering. So, I think I know that it's, it's a struggle, it's new, there's a lot of requirements, but I think it really is very important strategically important to our national defense and to you as a company to really understand those requirements and to not fight it, because it is out there, it's coming, it's a real thing, you're going to have to do it. Does everybody need to be certified to level 5? Absolutely not, right? It really depends on what your line of effort is, what kind of work you do, what kind of programs you're going to support, and what the classification level is on those programs, and what kind of data you might need to have access to. Jimmy, I don't know if I answered that at all or in part.
Absolutely. We'll let you get back to the brief. I'll hold fire on the remaining questions till we get the closer.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so if we could go to the next slide. Okay, so I would be remiss if I did not address what we are doing in the Office of Small Business Programs and how we link into the Army's priorities of people, readiness, and modernization. So in terms of people, I mentioned that it's really important that we have the right people, that we have the right number of people, that they have the right skill sets. And, as we look to modernization in particular, it's really important that we have the skill sets that are needed for that new technology, right? Because the skill sets of the soldiers that we recruited, 10 years ago might not be the same that we need 10 years from now. So it's really important on the soldier readiness and modernization side that we're recruiting the right soldiers. But I think it's equally important that we are recruiting the right people and developing the right talent within the small business framework as well, because we also need to be very savvy on what these weapon systems are. Or when you talk about the installation world, right? Installations are a strategic asset. Installations are critically important to our infrastructure, to our readiness, to being able to support everything that we need, regardless of whether we're addressing competition, conflict, crisis, or change, right? So, you know, it's really important that we have small business professionals that understand these priorities, understand these scenarios, and can be that link between industry and our requiring activities. So I think it's very important that we have a diverse range of talent within our small business framework. So primarily in the Army, we are pulling from the contracting career programs and career fields, which is great, right? But I think that we also need to be pulling from acquisition professionals, from program managers, from engineers, right? We buy a lot of different stuff in the Army. We are very diversified. And I think that's part of the reason why we do so great with our small business numbers every year, you know, and I do have a slide on what our numbers were for FY20, but we just buy a lot of stuff and a lot of different stuff. So we need a wide range of skill sets within our small business professional workforce in order to best assist industry as well as our requiring activities. And that really requires us to have a talent management framework. I want to make sure that we are recruiting the right people, that we're training and developing their skill sets, and that we are retaining them. But to me, retention doesn't mean that once a small business professional, always a small business professional. It might be to that person's benefit to go back into contracting or go back into program management or engineering for a time frame and then come back to small business, right? It's about developing the person and making sure that they are confident and capable to do whatever job we're asking them to do. So I really see the talent management framework as being very important to both the individual as well as strategic success of the program. So you probably are not really following the changes that have come about for the defense acquisition workforce, but there have been a lot of statutory changes. This really opens up the aperture, I think, to support where we want to go with talent management for our folks. Right now, there's a lot of unknowns. So, you know, whenever something's unknown and things are changing, you're moving my cheese. Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. So, you know, we're trying to work within the department with our colleagues, with the folks up at the Office of Small Business Programs at the DoD level to make sure that we are part of those teams making those decisions and setting that DIWEA framework up for our folks. Succession planning. You know, again, we have to make sure that we are identifying talent early and that we are developing those folks to take on positions of greater responsibility. You know, one of the, I think, great experiments of the COVID-19 pandemic has been our pivot to distributed operations. It's not even fair to call it telework at this point because we've been doing it for so long, but we've been doing it so well. And, you know, obviously you have to make adjustments and, you know, everything doesn't go great every day. There's a lot of technology challenges. Maybe that's just me personally. But I think that having distributed operations and not losing a beat really opens up the aperture on succession planning and what we might be able to do there. And then reporting structures, making sure that our small business professionals are aligned properly so that they can exercise independent judgment and really perform the range of activities that we're expecting them to do without any interference or fear of reprisal. So, you know, those things are very important to me over the next year or two. So in terms of readiness, I've got data analysis there. It's extremely important that we're able to see ourselves, right? That's true no matter what line of business you're in. You have to, we all have access to data because we are associated with the world of contracting. Contracting has a lot of data, but it's what you do with that, and it's how you look at it and analyze it that really, I think, tells the story. And we have to make sure that we are telling a full story, and we are not just talking about goals and how we achieved against goals. That, of course, is very important because we have statutory requirements for small business utilization, but that really is just the tip of the iceberg. And I think the more that we can peel back the onion on what are our small businesses doing, right? What are the programs that they're performing on? What are the types of installation support are they providing? That's where we tell that really robust story of how our industry partners are making sure that the Army is ready, modernized, and supporting our people. So I think it's really contingent upon me to make sure that we are collecting that data and doing something meaningful with it for the Army senior leadership, because that benefits all of us. In terms of regulations, we do not have we obviously have a lot of regulations around small business, but we don't have a lot of regulations around the Office of Small Business Programs in the Army. So that's definitely a gap. And as we seek to set out a talent management framework and establish policies, it's really important that we have the full range of authorities that we need in order to execute our mission. So we are going to be working to write a new Army regulation for small business within the Army. So that's a multi-year task, but it will definitely, the payoff will be worth the effort that we put into it. And then oversight initiatives. Again, we have to be able to see ourselves. We have to know what our capabilities are, where our gaps are, and then we should use that to drive additional reforms, to drive additional talent management efforts, any policy gaps that we might find. So again, it's part of what data do we need, how do we use it, and then how do we adjust and pivot. So under modernization, I've talked a little bit about reaching out to non-traditional vendors. I talked about the Army's Futures Command. Of course, we want to be partners with that as well. We have part of the Army's approach to making sure that we don't lose touch with industry, even though we're not doing live events anymore, is making sure that we support as many virtual events as possible. And I would like to even extend that to non-traditional events that might be going on, that wouldn't be sponsored necessarily by an industry association that we've been working with for a long time. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity there to do outreach with non-traditional sources. The Mentor Protege program, I did talk a little bit about the SIBR, Small Business Innovative Research, and then the Technology Transfer Program. But the Mentor Protege program, this is also a really great opportunity for small businesses to pair up, generally with a large business, but not always, into a mentor-protege relationship so that they can really start developing that infrastructure that will help them move to the next level and start getting a greater share of contracts with the Army, Navy, Air Force. We all participate in this program, and even though it's really kind of a handful of companies that will benefit from this, it is a fantastic way to really help grow your business. So there will be some solicitations coming out. So I'd encourage you to look for them. And I believe that the Navy has some that are either out there now or coming out soon as well. So Jimmy, is that correct? I think I heard you say that this morning.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Okay, great. So, okay, thank you. Can we go to the next slide? So this is just a snapshot of our organization. So of course we have the Secretary of the Army, the Honorable McCarthy. I'm a direct report to the Undersecretary of the Army, Honorable McPherson, who, if you don't know him, I think you all might, at least some folks might. He is really a fantastic person, so smart. And you know, really is a pleasure to work for him. So there's myself, there's my team. It's a pretty small team. I have a deputy director. We just hired a new data analyst, so I'm super excited that she's on board with us. I stole her from procurement, so she, you know, no learning curve. She's actually teaching us stuff. So very excited to have her on board. And then I've got my primary PMs in policy, oversight, acquisition support, and strategic communications. And they're, you know, very seasoned professionals. And I definitely couldn't do the job without them. We have a very small contractor support team. And you know, very glad to have them on board helping us with our outreach. And if you've been following the back and forth on the Army-Navy game on our social media platforms, you know, I definitely have our contractors to help me and support me in that endeavor. So they've been doing a great job. I do want to highlight the Command Associate Directors. So we have 5 commands that have small business headquarters and therefore small business professionals that work for them. So the Army Materiel Command, AMC, this is our largest command, our biggest buying footprint. They are our heroes in terms of dollars and actions, and it follows that you know, dollars and actions for small business you know, they're also our largest contributor for that. I am going to skip Army Futures Command for just a second. I'll come back to them. We of course have the Corps of Engineers. We have a big construction and civil works mission, and you know, if it weren't for the Corps of Engineers, the Army probably would not make our hub zone goals. So you know, a lot of spend in the hub zones within the construction field, and we have Liz Mudd is our associate director there. We stole her from DSCS, so she's one of our newer associate directors. We're really so glad to have her on board. And she is an expert as well in facility clearance. So, you know, if anybody has any questions on that, I know that Liz it could definitely help. We have our medical command, and then we have the National Guard Bureau. Army has procurement authority for the entire Guard Bureau. So therefore we also have the small business presence. And actually Ms. Freeman has left, and that position is vacant at this point in time. I said I'd come back to the Army Futures Command. The one thing different about the Army's Futures Command is that they do not have procurement authority. So they are a little bit different, but they are critical in that they are very aggressively seeking small businesses to help them with their mission. Okay, so can we go to the next slide? So just for a second of bragging, these are our fiscal year 2020 numbers. Of course, everything's preliminary until certified by the Small Business Administration, but I don't expect that this will be much different at the end of the day. So against a goal given to the Army by the Department of Defense of 27.86% for prime contracting to small business, the Army achieved 30.83%. And we have exceeded the small business goal for over 6 years. And this year that equated to over $24 billion. So we're very proud of this accomplishment. Again, the Army buys a lot of stuff, a lot of different kind of stuff. And, you know, I do have slides, and we're going to be putting slides up under our performance data section of our website that will show the various NAICS codes. It will give data by category. So if you're following category management, we will have a lot of detail on these numbers within the next couple of weeks. You can see from the numbers that we exceeded all of the socioeconomic category goals. I am watching two in particular, the service disabled veteran-owned small business and the woman-owned small business. Although we did exceed our goals by quite a bit, it was down slightly from the year before. So it's just something I want to keep an eye on, particularly in these two categories. I want to make sure that I want to understand why those numbers went down. Again, it really wasn't by a lot, but I don't want that to be a trend either. So, okay, so next slide, please. Okay, and that kind of concludes my my slides and my official presentation. So I definitely have to say people first, winning matters, and Army strong. And we're number one.
Yes, you are, Kim. Yes, you are. You and the Army, you're number one. You're like,
well, hopefully we've got lots of great questions lined up, Jimmy.
yes, we do. All right, I'll get to some of the questions here. We got about 5 minutes remaining, looking at the time. Here's one. How do I get a list of the micro purchase card holder buyers in the Army for commercial off-the-shelf supplies?
So, so that's a good question. So I think the best thing to do is you need to understand how to do research through the publicly available forums. You know, I wouldn't be able to give you a list of who the purchasers are, but certainly there's information out there through Gov Spending and SAM that you can find out, you know, the awards that were made. Sometimes the micro purchase stuff gets consolidated up onto, you know, and reported as kind of one transaction. Again, I think if you work with your small business professionals, and we can certainly help if you know, let us know what it is that you sell. I think that we can get you connected to the right people where you can get some granularity on that.
Excellent. All right, I'll stroll up here. What specific advice would you provide a cybersecurity small business hub zone certified business to break into Army contract arena as a prime without having to obtain complex, sometimes expensive, time-intensive contracting vehicles, which there's a lot being asked for here. Which small businesses or contracting offices are most hub zone friendly? That's another question. Which ones are most hub zone friendly, and how do you recommend they break into business? Over.
So I do know that a lot of our hub zone spend really is in the construction arena. So that may or may not fit your particular company's profile of activity. Certainly the Corps of Engineers, who's primarily responsible for that spend and those procurements, does they buy a lot of different stuff, not just construction. They also buy IT and related you know, services associated with that. They do a lot of modeling, you know, associated with their construction as well as their civil works area. So there is opportunity there for sure. I think part of the, and I might be interpreting this, so forgive me if I'm interpreting it wrong, but you know, there certainly is a push to get small businesses onto multiple award vehicles, right? To be either on the GSA vehicles or within the Army. We have CHESS, computer, I always mess up this acronym, but it's CHESS, CHESS, and it's a program under our PEO, Enterprise Information Systems, PEO EIS, and they do all of our hardware, software, and related service multiple award IDIQs. So there is you know, a cost to be on those vehicles for sure. But you know, with category management and all the other initiatives underway, I think it's very important to explore becoming a vendor on those types of vehicles. And you have NASA SOUP, I believe as well, Jimmy. DISA has contract vehicles that are out there. So it's not to say that there aren't opportunities off those vehicles, but certainly if you're on them, it makes it quicker and easier for a contracting officer to be able to get to you, and it supports category management initiatives. So, I think you're going to see more of a push towards that than less. So I really am not sure that I answered that question, but
no, I think we're good.
Okay.
All right, I think so. It's 1 minute before 2. You want to go one more question, Miss Destiny? Are you
Sure.
going to kill me if I go over time here?
I'll keep it short.
All right, I'll get one for you here. That's who would be the best Army group to reach that works with small unmanned aerial platforms? We have a capability we believe will be of interest.
Okay, so I think that you need to reach out to Army Materiel Command. They have an aviation center of excellence down at Redstone Arsenal. I would definitely check the Rapid Capability. It's the RCCTO, Rapid Capability and Critical Technologies Office. And then the Army Futures Command. So I think there's 3 different possibilities there. And I believe that there's different facets of unmanned vehicles that, or aerial vehicles, sorry, that you could potentially be connected with. So I would explore all 3 of those.
Outstanding. So the rest of the questions will be answered from the various Office of Small Business Programs. We're going to take the questions down. They will be posted back to the website for answers that we didn't get to today. So please stand by for that. Any closing remarks, Kim, before we shut down for the day? We've given the Army a lot of time, let me tell you. Oh my gosh, I'm waiting to be fired because of this.
Yes, well, so I sincerely hope that doesn't happen, Jimmy, but there's always got to be a casualty, so.
Absolutely.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. I love working with you and your team. All joking aside, we are one team, one fight, Army strong.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Kim. And it's a pleasure working with you. And I enjoy every time we get together, whatever we can do to help one another, provide capability to the warfighter. That's what we're all about. So again, everyone, thank you for joining in. Oh, there she goes with that foam finger again. Destiny, can you kind of blank that out or turn her off or something at this point? I was going to throw some more stats out, like we've got the most number of presidents that have gone through the Navy, but I'm not even going to do that anymore because I don't want to have to win and drop the mic or anything. It's Kim's day, and we're just going to let it be done that way. So thank you all for participating today. I'm sure we're going to have our information provided for how you can get in contact with us directly. Those messages that come across, but please don't hesitate to reach out to your small business professionals. We're here to help you, here to make life easier for you, and don't miss the opportunity to work with us because we're here to support you. Okay, again, Kim, thank you very much. Love working with you, and I hope to do this again in the new year, maybe December, New Year timeframe, after I recover from putting you on our website.
Sounds good, Jimmy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Navy Day, that is. Bye now.
Bye.